With dozens of personalities on the expansive platforms of social media, it can hardly be surprising that creators can have disagreements and have their feuds spread into their content. Sometimes, these can have disastrous consequences, even when good intentions are involved. However, there is one creator whose conflicts affected all those around him, and despite having the respect of almost the entire platform at one point, has left a ripple that still impacts the channel he left behind, and the response it has to this day. This is the story of fame, friendship, and betrayal. The story of Kami Wami. Part 1. Humble Beginnings. Kami Wami was born on December 8th, 1878, in what is now Gori, Georgia, where, at the time, his name was Iosif Vissarionovich. Despite being born into poverty, Iosif was noted to do exceptionally well in school. Many sources report his constant use in online escapism when he was young, likely stemming from his abusive father, where the need for a role model was found on the internet. It was during this time that he began to resonate with left-leaning political YouTubers, often relating to the struggles they voiced. His favorite YouTuber was one of the original neoliberal influencers on the platform, Marksman. His 40-minute-long video essay on communist ideals would especially resonate with Iosif, specifically quoting famous phrases throughout the house, such as, "Every fry cook should make $1 gorbillion daily," a popular slogan. This inspired him and a similarly radical friend named Philip Macandres to create their own Marxist YouTube channel, Proletariatis Brizola. At this point, he had changed his real name to Joseph Stalin, citing this change to feeling like a man of steel. As he grew to this higher and higher popularity, he gained more confidence in making videos going further from basic liberalism and pushing more of a socialist agenda. Many of his viewers saw this as crossing the line, preferring his earlier content that was more activist empowering rather than calls for full government overhaul. This caused a mass unfollowing from 1932 to 1933, where 7.2 million people unsubscribed from his channel, which, after taking full control of, he had renamed to Ultra Super Socialist Real Ones, or USSR, while designating himself as the figurehead, going by Kami Wami. In the hopes of regaining his audience, the desperate Kami Wami looked for someone to scapegoat, and that's when he made his first famous collab. Rather than create original content on his own, Kami Wami instead sought to collab with another rising influencer in the world of politics, Adolf 141269, originally an art-focused YouTuber turned into the alt-right pipeline, who is currently feuding with a creator that had been exposing his problematic views, the Moskiki Man. Kami Wami saw a chance to reach across the political horseshoe and direct some of the rising fame towards himself. In doing this, he and Adolf created their own videos with false accusations against the Moskiki Men, turning their still huge fan bases against them, encouraging a mass doxing and reporting. This would ultimately lead to his channel being taken down on September 30th, 1939. While Kami Wami had regained some of his lost popularity, much of the platform was turning against him. However, there was still one spark of hope that lingered in the radical political influencer. Part 2. A Glimpse of Redemption. While many thought the friendship between Adolf and Kami Wami would last, it would ultimately end when Adolf would try and pull more glory towards his name, posting on X in 1941, pushing the narrative that he did most of the work in standing up to the Moskiki Men, and that Kami was simply a clout chaser. Kami Wami, who was known for having a short temper, immediately turned on the man he once called his friend, and even joined forces with the likes of FDR Gaming and Going to Churchill, who were attempting to find dirt on him. During this time, Kami Wami would repeatedly be the most aggressive of the three, routinely calling for Adolf to cease living himself, to which he eventually did on April 30th, 1945, when he found out the three were in his hometown to confront him on his accused predatory past with Eva Braun. Many, including FDR Gaming and Going to Churchill, saw this as extreme overkill, especially when he took great pleasure in the not living, and started to distance themselves from him. This reignited a rage in Kamiwami, as he felt similarly betrayed to when Adolf had done this to him. At this point, everyone could sense an impending conflict. There was going to be a war, and it would be a cold one. Part 3. The Downfall. Seemingly unable to keep out of controversy, Kamiwami turned his anger away from his two former friends, knowing their influence on the platform, and instead began to target a rising American YouTuber. Get This True, a man. This was because of his informational videos expressing the importance of free markets and critiquing Kamiwami's socialist views. Rather than handle this maturely, Kamiwami would go on long rants while on his streams, talking about how the two economic systems and even the people involved could not coexist. It was also during this time he started to promote anti-Semitic beliefs, a trait seemingly picked up from his time working with Adolf 141269. However, most of his fanbase had turned on him, no longer seeing any good in his content, causing another mass unfollowing in 1946, with 900,000 people unsubscribing. This, in turn, seemed too much on the socialist. What many would consider a stroke of bad luck, on March 5th, 1953, Kamiwami officially left YouTube. Kamiwami is a strange case in the many YouTube downfalls, where he almost regained the trust of the platform, only to dash any and all hopes completely. During his prime, many opposing creators were doxxed and banned. What they should have used to keep safe from this is today's sponsor, JorkVPN.